Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How is everybody? Welcome to another episode of Roll Around, Find Out. In today's episode, I've got quite the guest with me this evening. One of my best friends of all time, a nerd like me. His name is Joel the Mighty. Joel, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I think this is going to be episode 34, and before recording, we went over a list of topics here, but the main goal is to just talk role-playing games and have fun.
That sounds good.
As I mentioned before as well, when you and I get together, we're normally with other friends that aren't into role-playing games, or we're with our other friend Anthony and we're like actively playing. And so like you and I haven't really had a chance in, I mean, what are we going on, 3 years to like really talk role-playing games and what we like about them. And yeah, so I know just a little bit because I think we even just recently talked about it, but tell me about your life before D&D and nerdy things that you were into.
Sure. So I guess as far as nerdy things go, I would say into video gaming and music and some little bit of sports here and there and stuff like that. But video gaming is probably the nerdiest of the activities.
I'm trying to think. Super Nintendo was your first one?
We had regular Nintendo, straight up Mario 1, 2, 3, Zelda 2.
Zelda,
of
that's
course.
right.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
No Super Nintendo. That one went right to PlayStation, and then just stuck on the PlayStation bandwagon up until the latest Nintendo systems. I had only a small exposure to D&D when I was a kid. My older brother went over and played it at the neighbors, and I was there a couple times while they were playing, but I never got to play myself.
Was that with Justin?
Yes. Yep. So.
Nice. Yeah, I forgot. Did you have Zelda 1 or Zelda 2 growing up?
2, which is not very good.
I tried playing it maybe 10 years ago one summer, and it is hard.
It's brutal. But
from what you remember, I think I made it to Death Mountain.
That's pretty good, I think.
I think you had to go in and out, and every time you go in, these things are just popping their heads over the fence, and you never make it through unscathed. And so, best of luck making through.
Yep. They've moved on to bigger and better things, though. So,
Breath of the Wild, probably the first person in North America to finish 100%, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's not that popular. Yeah.
Didn't cheat at all. Got every shrine.
No. Yeah. Didn't cheat. No guides. No, that's okay. But with Tears of the Kingdom, I didn't use a guide at all. Straight up.
Have you finished it? Is it official? You're done? Checked out?
Done. Yep. Took about 4 months, but done.
And what about Zelda, starting with Breath of the Wild, where you're like, yeah, this game is freaking amazing?
I think just the good mix of exploratory, can go wherever you want, do whatever you want, and then some moderate puzzles in there. But then being able to go do those things and build up the character to a point where you're and this is probably similar with other video games that I like, I'll do a bunch of the side quests and things like that to, make them almost overpowered before moving on with the storyline.
Ever get into like Grand Theft Auto?
Oh, a while ago, probably in college. I mean, they've been on the same one here for 10 years, I think now. But
I'm always late to the systems, and Breath of the Wild, when I played it, I mean, I started maybe 2 years ago. I thought, yeah, this game is freaking incredible. But when you think about it, it's like a fantasy version of Grand Theft Auto.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, go anywhere, do anything, steal anything.
And Ocarina of Time, obviously the best in the series, right?
I'm not sure about that, but I did play it it's probably about a year ago now for the first time ever. And it was good. It was good. I think it probably like those that played it when it first came out judge it as one of the best of all time. Going back now and playing it, still good, but like in comparison to stuff that has come out.
Better than Skyward Sword?
Probably. Skyward Sword I thought was pretty good though too. But yeah, I would say Ocarina was better.
I had an epiphany. I mean, they just don't make a bad Zelda game.
No, except for Zelda 2. Yeah.
Well, I'll cut them some slack. I mean, even 1, I'm a huge retro nerd. And like, if you were to just pick up 1, I don't think you could beat it.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, all that stuff you needed, like those original games are all pretty hard on the regular Nintendo system.
Yeah, you need whatever that's called, the Nintendo Magazine, with all the maps in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I remember, so to tie this to D&D a little bit, when you first mentioned it to me, and I really didn't know what the concept was. I remember thinking, oh, sounds like it's like Dragon Warrior, which was a role-playing game on NES, a turn-based sort of a RPG. So when you first explained D&D to me, I'm like, oh, so it's like that, where you encounter monsters and you choose attack, spell, heal, whatever.
I don't know when that game came out. It had to have been 85, 86.
Like yeah.
And I think D&D came out in 75. I'm sure there's obviously older than Dragon Quest, but and the influence is there. I mean, you're right. It's encounters and make choices.
Yep.
In a video game, though, you're like fight, run, magic item. Yeah.
Not as much freedom.
Yeah, my intro to D&D. So I've been playing Magic the Gathering since middle school. My brother Brett, got me into it. Eventually, D&D and Magic were owned by the same company, and so I was playing with a group. Had to have been before COVID, and they invited me to go and play. I think we only played 2 sessions, and I was like, I don't really know what this is, but this is freaking cool, and I want to learn more about it. So COVID hit. I mean, the rest is history with us. I said, okay, you know what? I miss my friends. We're all locked down, and so you're more of a gamer, and so I'm actually more surprised you didn't convince me to do some sort of gaming or something. But I was gung-ho on trying to get something started, knowing very little of the rules. Again, 2 sessions, and I think that's a lie. I think at this time I had my D&D school club running, and I ran.
You were in a group too, weren't you? A different group?
Oh, that is right. Yes, the all combat all the time group.
All combat.
Yep. And so as a player, I mean, I don't want to talk bad about them, but I was learning my druid, and that was it. Not really like adventure design, and any DM stuff. I was just the player, and I was just rolling dice.
Yep.
But you're right. So I was gaining some experience, but as far as DMing goes, not really so much.
Yeah.
And so we'll get into it. But you ran. What was the name of the module you ran?
Something of Icespire Peak, Dragon of Icespire Peak, I think it was.
Yep. And so I did the one before then with my students, the Lost Mines of Phandelver.
Okay.
Which take place in the same town. I assume if it came out before the one you ran, chronologically all the events happened before, but it's a game of make believe, so whatever. But yeah. So you, and then I probably reached out to 3 or 4 other people, and it was only you and Anthony.
Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like, I haven't been in a large group playing before, but I've talked to some others who do, and I don't know. I hear the feedback from them that like sometimes they spend a whole session and they barely do anything, just because of the amount of turns or the amount of people or whatever is going on. Like, bigger isn't always better.
Yeah, me personally, my school group is 10 kids who could care less about the rules. Literally, I've got a Minecraft character, Link from Zelda, Abraham Lincoln, who has now become Joe Biden, some Griffin character with wings, a guy, his name is King Anklebreaker, and all he does is dance and break bad guys' ankles.
Yeah.
And the point of this is it's 10 kids of just like the
all
most
in one
random,
session?
the most random ideas that I have to incorporate. So have you seen the movie Wish? Newest Disney one?
No, we haven't seen that yet.
Okay. Well, the bad guy in there is the bad guy in my story, and his name is Magnifico. Yeah. And I put my own spin on him, but they're in just this last Friday, they're in the final battle, and some are doing damage. Some have kind of learned that if you insult him, he becomes more powerful, and if you give him a compliment, he will give them a gift or something. And then the kid says, "I want to play hot potato."
What do you do with that?
So I came up with a D20, and every turn for every person we were ticking it down, and luckily we ran out of time with like 3 ticks left.
Okay.
So I got to figure out, like, does he just die if he's got the potato?
What happened? Yeah.
Yeah, so
permadeath from a hot potato.
It might just be another boss they had. We did a 2-session just intro to role-playing games, and it was this big fire demon, clearly set up as a battle, and then the girl with the griffin wings, blah, 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 she's like, "We're going to do a dance battle." Okay.
All right.
Roll charisma or persuasion, dexterity. Give me something here.
Yeah.
You know, especially middle school. It's not my job to say no.
Yeah, no. Well, and you're just like, you want them to have fun with it, right? So.
Yeah. I don't want to say, no, there are no dancing rules in the player's handbook.
Yeah, let me check my guide.
Yeah. Are there friends you have up there, or coworkers, or anybody else that has said, "Whoa, Joel, I thought you were cool. Now you're like even cooler that you know how to play D&D. You want to play with us? You want to run a session or something?"
I do have some friends that do play. I haven't played with them. They play, I don't know, like I said, in a bit of a larger group. We just never lined it out to play together or do a smaller session or something like that.
Does Banger play?
Banger does not play. No. No.
Yeah, he fancies me as like more of a sports guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Random reference.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely some. I know Emmy's cousins do as well. So that there's I know some others. So
Any interest in like family get-together, D&D?
yeah, probably not.
Mom and dad?
Yeah. No, probably not. They're not there.
Yeah.
I could maybe get my brothers there, but we'd probably just choose the game because it's more what they would typically do. So
Have you downloaded Baldur's Gate?
I haven't yet. I'm waiting for a sale, or for you to commit to play with me, and then I'll just go buy it.
I won't lie. I was pricing out a computer.
Were you? There you go.
Came to $850.
Ooh, it's more than what you need to spend.
Yeah. Maybe I'll just get a PS5.
Yeah.
Oh, but then we couldn't because your computer. That's right.
You can get a Steam Deck for $500. Steam Deck OLED too.
Oh.
Yeah, they just came out.
I'll put that on the maybe column.
Yeah. Just saying.
If I make a computer, it'd be my podcasting setup as well.
Yeah. I get that.
But my work computer's doing just fine with it.
Yeah. Your work computer could handle Baldur's Gate, I'm sure.
I'm willing to try it. Lowest graphic settings.
Yeah. Just roll with it.
The fan is just hanging on for dear life.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't know if you don't try, I guess.
No.
Okay, so for the few regular listeners I have, they've heard me talk many, many times about my quote unquote 11-month campaign, which was like my, I don't know, put it on my tombstone as one of the coolest things I've ever done. I learned a lot after it, and this podcast, the main purpose of this podcast is just to learn more about the hobby, explore different systems, and just nerd out as best I can. And so, I mean, I would do things totally different. But give me some highlights, lowlights, poop on it, whatever.
No, I mean that was my introduction, right? So I think like memorable for me was the first time when you proposed it, and I came down and got in a video call with you, and I'm like, I don't know what we're doing here or what I'm walking into. I hadn't read anything or prepped anything, and we started to talk through character creation, and it was a little overwhelming. I'm like, it's like, to relate it back to gaming, it's like when you start some new games, you're like, oh my gosh, they have all these systems and leveling up and this and that and the skill trees and all that, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna pick. So, but then at the end of kind of just introducing us to it, you're like, well, let's just run a scenario, and you had us like, I don't know, we were just two people, or maybe there was a thief, or we were in a restaurant, or we had to get out or get away or something like that, and it was super random, but like it really introduced the concept of, so I can just do whatever I want, or I can propose to do whatever I want, and then I'll have to roll to see how successful I am at it, but like there's no more rules than that. So that was memorable to me, and that it was like, I don't know, it just opened up the idea of like, oh, this is what it is. So then, walking away, reading a little bit more about the character that I was going to create, and the little bit of structure to it helped to put a little bit of context. Again, I didn't know how much to worry about the backstory, and I don't even remember all the things with the character creation but you pick whatever the origin and what are the things like where their ideals and stuff like that.
Bonds.
Yeah, and some of that can it can matter as much as you want to make it matter, both you as the player or as the DM. And I think like I wasn't sure of that when we initially set off, but then it just kind of like the character came what the character became, right? So, and I think I just approached it as more like hero mode, like probably that gaming mindset of just going into this to win, like versus actually playing any particular character or anything like that. So that maybe evolved a little bit throughout the campaign for me. And then when I went into our next session, I'm like, okay, I want to have a little bit more like actual character to it, versus just trying to be the hero.
Oh, the whole the one we're in right now?
Yeah. Is a little bit more like I'll make decisions based upon what I think the character would do, and role play it a little bit more, versus just like playing to win the game.
Sure. Right. I haven't talked much about the campaign we're in right now, but yeah, we're brothers. Just kind of very casual. We're brothers whenever it's convenient. We're brothers.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could go on and on about my character and my name, the 5 different names I have.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But no, I thought you did a nice job of like giving enough like flexibility to, or I forget what it's called, but not railroading us, leaving it open for us to take it where we want, but then yet keeping us on a little bit of a track so that we knew what we were supposed to be doing, and things like that, which I've found is a bit of a balance. And then I also think different players have different preferences in that matter. Like for me, if it starts to get like too open where I don't know what I'm doing, then I'm like, I don't know, I start to lose a little bit of interest. Like I almost want to be a little more task based. Like, what am I doing? I'm gonna go do it now. But you don't want it to be too structured either. So anyways, I thought you had a good balance during that session. Like you set it up, we were in a town, we had a specific thing to do at the beginning. We got through that. It probably didn't go as you had planned when we went into the store that after the town kind of burned down and just stole all of our supplies, and then ditched town thinking, oh, that's perfectly fine. But yeah, so it was a little more structured in the beginning, kind of getting through the, I don't know, prologue sort of thing, and then it was a little more open after that, but yet kind of keeping us on a specific task and throwing in some surprises throughout.
Having run the Lost Mine of Phandelver, I think that gave me a good basis of like, this is how a D&D campaign goes. Mm-hmm. And even though sarcastically I was giving you a hard time of like, oh, Joel's running a pre-made adventure, what are some takeaways that you got from that? Because I know you did a lot of research and you read that like, yeah, it's written this way, but it's not quite engaging enough.
Yeah, I thought like I enjoyed that because it gave like it gave me the start, because I didn't know what I was doing. So it gave me a start to the storyline, and I followed it pretty closely for maybe the first 3 or 4 sessions. And to be fair, similar to you, right, it was another like 11-month, 12-month campaign, and I think it was supposed to be, the book said it was supposed to be like, I don't know, 6 or 7 sessions, and it took a year. But yeah, the first 3 or 4 was like, yeah, it was a little more by the book and what it was saying. And then it, like, as you guys made decisions, then I started to like, oh, how do I like show consequences of the decisions that they're making, and then maybe throw in some story twists. And then when you started to build other relationships, how do they fit in. So then I started just taking it in my own direction. Then it was a lot more fun then. I didn't mind having the like pre-made maps and stuff to use, even though sometimes I changed the monsters or added added some traps or puzzles or something like that. But it definitely evolved throughout from like, okay, I'm following this to the T to, well, no, they changed the storyline a little bit, so now like I need to open it up here and it, yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit, like reacting to you guys and then doing a lot more than what was in the book.
For me, I think the coolest moment, and I'm pretty sure it was near the end, when Anthony and I had done something and we had come back to Phandelver and we were in the tavern, and I was like, all right, things are winding down. I'm spending all my money. We're celebrating. Yeah, you know exactly. And why don't you make a perception roll? Okay, I'm pretty sure I failed it, or
yeah,
in the middle of the road. You're like, yeah, you think you hear something outside. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm like, there's no way. Like, our resources were down. I'm like, there's no way, like, anything's happening. And then orc attack, like, massive. And that was awesome.
I found it fun to like start to like add different components from just like regular straight up, okay, you're battling these 3 beasts, to like I think you did a battle one time like around the town where it was like it was like a clock, and each battle was different. So instead of doing an entire battle for each section of the clock as you went to try to fight them off, I forget how we did it at the time, but there was, we just changed the functionality to be more differently rather than just the same old. Or the traveling system, doing the skills challenge and stuff like that. Like, yeah.
Do you like being a player more or a DM more?
That's a good question. I like both. I think I like the DMing more than I expected I would. It did, like, you have to prepare, and so I'd have to set time aside to prepare. So that was probably the harder portion. But then I did have fun, like trying to work in what would they like, or what might be a twist that would get a reaction. And so I don't have a great answer, but I would say I like them just differently.
DMing is obviously more planning, but one of my notes here, do you enjoy are there aspects of the planning that you like, and do you find yourself like throughout the day, like, yeah, D&D, I should do this or something along those lines?
Yeah, I definitely did, or like definitely like after the sessions, I'd be like, okay, for next time, I know like this storyline piece, or this is, now because they did that, I think I want to work this in and that. So partly it was just like, setting aside the time to go do the planning. But then once I started planning, I could sit there for a couple hours and not realize that it went by as I, pulled ideas out for items or different beast options, or different, again, storyline options, to just like try to drive some intrigue.
One of my big regrets when I ran it was you were a ranger, and from what I read, they're like notoriously underpowered, underused, and like one of the base features you have is favorite terrain. And I don't know if that ever came into play.
Yeah, I think I remember trying to utilize that, but it might not have come in. I think I used there was a different favored thing that I thought I used, like in that.
Oh yeah, like favorite creature.
Yeah, or something, where I was able to try to track something. But I mean, like that. See, like being a ranger, I didn't like. Okay, if I would have gone out and researched online ahead of time and seen every single list that has Ranger at the bottom, I probably wouldn't have done. I just, like, during our first session, I'm like, oh, gamer mindset. If I go play Skyrim or something like that, like I'm gonna be the bow and arrow guy hanging in the back, trying to like pick people off, stealthy and all that. So I'm like, I'll just be a ranger. And then yeah, I saw the list. I'm like, everybody thinks that rangers are underpowered, but it really, like, as long as the DM like provides the scenarios, like, I don't think the characters should end up necessarily underpowered, because it's the DM's responsibility to make it like appropriately leveled for the characters, right?
Yeah,
that's my perspective. What do you think?
Yeah, so here's a controversial question. Did you ever fudge a dice roll? Did you ever lie?
I might have. I'll be honest. Not.
Well, that's a yes or no question.
Yeah, not as a player.
Yeah.
But as a DM, only for, not for like being. Let me clarify. Not for in like battle, for being like wanting to be stronger than the players, or vice versa, or letting a player off the hook. But I might have for storyline's sake, to get a storyline piece apart across. So
yeah, I think
that's the only time.
I think I did a handful of times, and again, like, I'm fine with the character going down.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of a specific time I did it. If you remember Dr. Destrom and the Frankenstein guy, I had like these shadowy creatures behind these barrels hiding.
Yep.
And I kind of going into it, I kind of prefaced it by saying, hey, like, this is going to be pretty tough.
Yeah.
And so, like, if I preface that, I feel like anything's fair game.
Yeah.
And okay, and so like here's, well, maybe not a good example of fudging, but if you remember, Anthony had done something, and we had like a made up roll off between him and Destrom. I think he was trying to run away, and I think Anthony was trying to tie him up or something, and so we had like an opposed roll to it. So that is a time I probably would have lied, but I don't remember lying for that.
Yeah.
I don't think players want to know that their DM is lying.
I shouldn't admit it, but I know that it was storyline based, but yeah. I mean, that's the, like, if we were in person, like, there's none of that. So, well, yeah, no.
Unless you're behind the screen.
Unless you're behind the screen, I guess. Yeah, but
interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think I remember telling you in the final battle with Vosk, I think I fudged some rolls, or I know that I didn't keep track of hit points.
Oh, okay.
It was just, I'm going to get my players like down to the wire.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, I think you had killed them pretty early.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, they're still doing good. So like, let's keep this action going.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that I think of is like if the action, I remember I had one of these scenarios, and I feel like it was late and I should have stopped it, but like if the action gets stale where it's to the point where like the players are out of all their skills and they're just doing the same thing over and over, like, you know how the battle's going to end at this point in time. The players are just doing the same thing over and over again, and it's just like chipping away hit points at the thing. I think I had something that was like running away or something, and that's a time too to be like, okay, that the battle's over. Just let the beast be dead. You just because the book said they have this many hit points, just end it. Like, it's not fun anymore if everybody's you got 3 turns in a row and you're just doing the same exact thing every turn. So
Yeah. And not to say anything bad about Anthony because he's not here, but I feel like we had that situation just last session when you had that flame sphere.
yeah.
Yet he was trapped.
Yeah.
I guess you had to roll for concentration on it or something.
Yeah, just chasing it around. But yeah.
Yeah, there was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 turns there of.
But yeah, I know I had that happen a couple times too. And then after the fact, I'm like, well, why didn't I just let the beast die? Yeah. There was no point anymore. So
yeah. If I didn't already ask this, do you have a favorite part of DMing?
I think I think I probably enjoyed the storylining the most. So that's where it would come like I liked when I had a storyline thing that like the storyline I think was greater in my head than it was to you guys, but I was just having fun like trying to play it out or trying to have moments and things like that. So trying to either have it be a surprise or have it be a triumph or have it be like I shouldn't say that, like not predisposing what it is, but having those sort of options for you depending on whatever decisions you guys made, if that makes any sense. So usually it was reacting to what you guys did in the session before and okay, how is that going to impact the storyline versus okay, you're walking in and this is going to be what you achieve, sort of a deal.
I bet one of these that you're thinking about, who was the mayor or the
I forget
main go-to.
Yeah, the mayor that that was the traitor in the end. I can't remember his name now either. Anthony would remember because he remembers everything. But but yeah, that was one where I had preset that he was gonna be the bad guy, and I was trying to leave some hints, but yet deceive you as well, to leave like just a little bit of question. But you guys were mostly just following his word throughout. So then I needed to make sure that like when you did see he was the traitor or the bad guy, that it actually made sense, and I wasn't just like, oh, it's the end of the story. Hey, look at this guy's a traitor. So
Harbin,
yeah. Harbin Wester or something like that.
Yep.
Wester.
Now, my memory is so bad. Was he a traitor or was it his brother?
His brother was bad too, I think. But he was just like bad all around from the front.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The brother was like teaming up with the dragon. And then when we came back victorious, Harbin sold out the town to the orcs.
Vice versa.
Oh, okay.
Vice versa. But yes. Yep. Yeah, the mayor had like very early on, he was like this scared mayor, and then the dragon attacked the town, and then suddenly he was all like, oh, powerful and out and telling you guys what to do and this and that, and it was really because he had, I don't know, made a pact with the dragon or whatever at the time. So.
And I assume that was all made up by you?
Yeah, that wasn't in the book.
Yeah. That was awesome.
Yeah. That was fun though. That was a fun session. Yeah, fun year. Yeah.
Good reveal.
Yeah.
My favorite part is the thinking on your feet. When in mine, when you went down into the basement of Destrum,
yeah,
did not have that planned at all.
Yeah.
Came up with a whole scenario of wine cellar.
Yeah.
And then trap zombies in there. You're like doing something with the dust.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's
something with the dust.
Yeah. And no, it's locked. Can't go down there, and just whether it turned out good or bad, I don't know, but just having an answer there in the moment.
Yeah. Now there's times like then as a DM where you have to also, and I probably wasn't always good at this and still not because I'm probably a control freak, but like have to, let me explain. So like sometimes you guys would just mess around in the town and like go hang out at the bar and talk to people and hit on waitresses and do this and that, and I'm like, come on guys, you did nothing the entire session. So like I would want to railroad you to go do something, and maybe I probably eventually did, but it also seemed like you're having fun with it, so who am I to say no, stop doing that, go do this very specific quest. I feel that same way as a player too. Like I'm like, okay, we're done joking around, let's go do something.
That is a perfect thing for this podcast and me researching things. Like I haven't played this for 20 years. I had 2 sessions and lost mine to Fandelver, and I'm piecing it together. Like I don't know. Like, have you heard the phrase downtime before?
I haven't. I mean, not in the context of D&D. No.
But it's similar to everyday use. So like you go on an adventure and then you can't be like every day you're slaying a dragon.
Yeah.
So you have this downtime. Like you got all your riches, and what do? Do you like open up a restaurant? Do you like what do you do? Well, and that's something that I still like. I don't know what the right answer is. How do you do downtime?
Well, and I remember like for a while, because I was using the guide for a while, it was like the mayor gives you a quest, you go do the quest, you come back and you talk to the mayor gives you another quest, you go do and it seemed like every time you came back to the town, then like one session would be essentially downtime. You'd just be screwing around. Okay, then you'd go out. But then to me it also started to get a little like repetitive, like, okay, we don't really have to go back to the town, so how do we put a couple of these quests together so you guys go out and do a couple things, and you can have downtime in between, but not the same old sort of a deal.
When we went to go visit the Batman character guy.
Oh yeah. See, that was the other thing that I found. Like starting off, I didn't know how to give characters like a personality. Like when it started, like I just read what the book said, and then once we got going, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll start to give them accents or start to give them like pick a existing character to model it after, sort of thing, just to have a little intrigue. And then you guys would always make me like have to talk 2 NPCs together, so I would just be talking to myself.
That is a major kudos to you. I don't know if I don't have the self-confidence, the talent, the ability, but the voices, you really made characters come to life. And Fibblestop and Dabble, the gnomes.
The gnomes, yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
And then the I think I'm still gonna get wrong. I got it wrong like the entire time, but the like husband and wife.
Oh my gosh. The dwarf. I think they were dwarves. They were dwarves.
The whole time I thought they were gnomes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This makes thinking of that makes me think of this. There was the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And that drove me crazy. The like lions on the tapestries.
Yeah.
And so, like I like puzzles. I tried doing puzzles, and maybe I got like way too into it when I was like, what side are the hinges on? Push or pull? Like, hindsight, I would never do that again. That was stupid. But like, what is the purpose of a puzzle? Is it just a time waste? What do characters know versus players know?
See that? Okay. So that's another one where it's like, okay, when you're creating it and you know the answer, you maybe think it's easier than what it is. So I think I had run it by my wife the day before, like, "Hey, can you figure this out?" Um, but I probably gave her more context than what you guys had. And
For the
but
record, she's way smarter than me. So.
but I think like it has to fit, from my perspective only. Like it has to fit in the storyline context. That to me, that's the role of a puzzle. So like in yours, when you had us, like we would have this vision that we'd have to get out of the puzzle to avoid. It was the mind player, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was pulling us in these visions, and we'd have to get out of the puzzle, otherwise something happened. Like it made sense in the storyline. And most of mine, it was more of a straightforward fantasy setting. There wasn't much room for a puzzle until there was one area where you needed to like try to get this sword or treasure or something. I'm like, oh, this would be a good time to have a trap or a puzzle to try and get through. So I looked up some ideas and I tried to make it, and it turned out kind of fun because you guys ended up, I don't know, failing and having to fight these, I forget, like flying things, bats and this and that and all that, but it probably wasn't the right, I don't know, I probably didn't give enough hints to lead you there either. So but I know that as a player, I like puzzles. Like even as a gamer, I like puzzles, but I don't like puzzles that I can't figure out. Because then I'll just look up the guide.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of one I did. It was like blood in a bowl, and you had to carry the bowl to another room. And in hindsight, it was like,
Yeah.
I only know this exactly because somebody else wrote it, and I know the answer.
Yeah.
So and then,
it's having that balance of like, you don't want it to be just too easy, but I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. Yeah.
I know like a dungeon, traps and puzzles. One of the main functions is whenever the players get to the end goal, the end usually end boss, you don't want them at full health.
Yeah.
You want them like, well, it was a struggle to get here, and like this is the best we can do.
Yep. I think all right, so this wasn't a puzzle. This was yours, but I think it was a good lesson for all DMs as to like not everything that you planned just works out, because you had planned, like, I forget what it was, like this foggy area or this area where we had to go square by square and all these things were going to happen, and you had this whole map built out of all these cool things, and then we just happened to come in and take the direct route right to the center, and it was like 10% of the map had been opened up and we got to where we needed. We're like, cool, we made it. You're like, oh crap.
Yep. You had to roll to like figure out what side you were going to start on. That was to try and randomize it. And I just remember being like, shit.
Yeah. Yep, right there. Right there.
Yep. Yeah, man, I had so many cool encounters in there, but
yeah,
that was the entrance to Vasquez's lair.
Yeah. And I think I remember having something like that once for you guys, where I had more planned and you just like got right through it, or you skipped it or whatever, and then I ended up like taking those ideas and then just like putting them into something else, putting them into a future encounter or dungeon or something like that. It's a little different, but
along those lines, what are some things now that you've ran a whole campaign would you do different?
I think that's a good question. I think I definitely would set up the storyline a little bit more differently. Like not that specific one, but just like be more intentional about like why do you care? Like, okay, you're in this town and a dragon just terrorized the town. Okay, oh, now you guys are finding the dragon. That's cool. Good. Yeah, no, like what do you really care about? And I think eventually you guys got there. Or was able to get like a real reason, but starting out it was just kind of okay. We're just doing this. So I think that's important, and just like having one, like, yeah, you might have all these side quests and things like that, and stuff that you're doing, but just being very clear on what your like main goal is.
Rather than just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah. So making that, putting that out there so that it's more like, because I think a lot of times I was just like handing you quests, and I thought the quests were fun, but it was like handed you quest, now you go do the quest, versus like here's this main goal and you go out and you end up on these quests on the way, sort of a deal, versus I posted them on a town board, so now you're gonna take it and go do it.
I did an episode. Oh yeah, I did an episode on video game influences, and I talked about how Breath of the Wild has kind of changed my travel, how I would work travel. But to the point you just made, Breath of the Wild, I thought this was so stupid, and then again, I have to just remember they don't make bad Zelda games. To the point you're making, like, you can go to Ganon right now. Everybody knows that's the end goal.
Yeah,
that's right there. You can do that if you want, but in the context of D&D, good luck.
Yeah,
like you got to power up.
Yep.
And I think pretty early on, I mean, like, this dragon is the problem.
Yeah.
So how do we prepare for that?
How do you prepare for that? But then also, how do you like? Why do you care that the dragon's a problem versus letting the next adventure that comes in town deal with it? Like, why is it important to you?
Yeah, that's a fine line, because it's a game of make believe.
Yeah.
So you could just say like, I'm just gonna leave.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to do this.
The town. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some buy-in of like, on the player's end, that hey, we're heroes.
Yeah.
And we got to save the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're right. The more ownership and buy-in you can get, I mean, that like by the end, like, my disdain for Harbin and his brother were like, if I remember correctly, Harbin's brother was already dead, and I wasted a fireball on him.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I was like, I hated him that much. I didn't care about the spell slot.
Yeah.
Let him cook.
Yeah.
So that was great.
Yeah. So that's probably it. I think there's more creative things and stuff I can do. I'm not saying that I would not, like, I know as a, I don't know, D&D veteran purist, I still don't have anything against using a pre-made thing as like a starting point, mostly because it has a bunch of maps that I can use. But not that I wouldn't come up with something on my own, but I'm not against taking something that's already been started and then just adapting based upon, where you guys go.
What a great segue. So in my role as a teacher and running my D&D club, I've got a growing library of RPG books, and a lot of my D&D books are just, they give me a budget every year, so I'm going to spend it. And I don't know, I got maybe 20 D&D books because the district paid for it because they give me a budget. So how well versed are you in the world of pre-made D&D adventures?
Not versed at all. I've looked, going to, page through a few at bookstores and stuff like that, but knowing that right now the only session I'm in is ours, and right, knowing that we were in Anthony's and stuff, like I haven't planned ahead for leading my next session or anything like that.
Do you think we'll have a next one?
I don't know. I mean, I'm still game.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I do want to play Baldur's Gate 3, but which could be. I mean, that's like a 100-hour game. But yeah, no. I mean, I'm not looking to stop. It's been, scheduling can be hard, but yeah.
How many hours do you think we put in on both our campaigns?
I was thinking about that. So, each of them took 11 to 12 months. We would have some weeks where it was 2 hours, some weeks where it was 4 or more, 4 or 5 hours, and then other weeks where we wouldn't go at all. So even if you assumed an average of 2 hours a week, you're still at about 100 hours.
That blows my mind. 100 hours, and that pre-made adventure is $20.
Yeah.
That's pretty good bang for your buck,
I'd say.
Okay, so we can brainstorm here. Have you put any thought into, if you were to run your own, what it would be?
I have not. I'll be honest.
Interesting.
I have not.
Well, okay. Well, next topic.
Yeah. I mean, I say that, and I mean, I thought maybe just only a little, but I don't have like a set, like vague storyline topic or anything like that. I have like components of how the game might go that I know I like and don't like, but yeah, no, I don't really have a good storyline, which I told you before. Like, I think that's, to me, right or wrong, I think it's an important part of it. So is the storyline.
That's a great point, and that makes me reflect, because I have 3 ready to rock.
Ready to roll?
Yeah. What do you want? What kind of style you want?
Yeah.
Let's go. But I don't think I've put much thought into like what's the main story? What's the main goal? Instead of just like, here are the events that are happening. How do you react to them?
And maybe it's just personality, because like when I think about DMing, like my favorite parts were like, who was it? There was a character that was the like former sheriff that talked with a southern accent, and then like he got to come in and save the day and like killed an orc in front of you guys, and it was like this big moment of triumph for him.
Big
like,
Al?
Yeah, Big Al. There you go. So like that, or like when you found out that the mayor was a traitor, or when you met this this kobold that was supposed to be bad, but that was actually good. Like those were the things that I enjoyed. Like, I don't know if you guys caught on or not, but just working him in as like, oh yeah, you're not gonna see this coming. So that's where I had fun with it, I guess.
And those are, thinking more about it, those probably aren't things that you can just write down in a book that say, oh, players are going to care about this character.
Yeah.
Make this story point relevant.
Well, and that's why like you can't get too far ahead either, because that was a mistake I had early on, was like, okay, I'm gonna plan out ahead, but then no, you guys would do something completely different, and so it's more like adapting to, again, it goes back to consequences. Like, oh yeah, you've built a relationship with that character, now how can how can I make that hit?
I don't think you could have ever thought or written up that I would care so much about a freaking horse, Montana.
No, not at all. No.
Yeah, that was just organic. Like, yeah, I don't care if I die. Like,
yeah.
And how did it? I don't even remember. What's Montana's origin story? Did I just buy her?
Yeah, I think I gave you guys horses. Like, Or maybe you bought it. I don't know. But you just, I don't know.
What does it look like? Do I have a stable? Can I buy the best stable for this horse?
Yeah.
Can I get a tattoo with this horse on my chest?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, playing through fire and flames.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was an epic moment for sure.
Yeah, it was. It was.
I have a hard time talking to people about D&D. Like we lived this. It's honestly like we lived this adventure.
Yeah.
Like, you planned it. I did it. It happened. You tell other people, they're like,
yeah,
sounds dumb.
Yeah.
But then you play it, and I think you get hooked on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome.
So you got what, three or four like stories ready to roll?
I've got one. I think it's a totally original idea. If you and Anthony were like, yeah, let's play a whole nother year, I got it.
Okay.
Another one, it was a fundraiser, and you basically make a deal with the devil, and you go down to hell. Okay. You go through all 9 layers of hell.
Nice. Ooh.
So the place is cool, but again, the story is that.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, but that gets you a set path, set goal, and all that. Now, are you going to meet a bunch of NPCs on the way and build relationships and all that? Well, I don't know. Maybe not. But like you have a set goal there. Like there's a reason to care.
Yeah, I don't remember what level you start at. But Asmodeus is the ruler of the 9th level, and he's a CR 25.
Nice.
So,
okay, you asked about one thing I changed before. That was one thing that I was following by the book early on, and I would change that. Is I don't think I gave enough level ups, and campaigns rarely get to those high levels, and campaigns at our pace takes so long. It'd be fun to be able to actually experience some of those higher levels of a particular character. Because what were you? I don't remember. What were you?
Maybe 11?
No, I don't think you're even that high. I thought you were 8. Maybe, but no, I mean what type of character were you?
Oh, sorcerer.
Sorcerer. Okay. So when are you going to play a sorcerer again? Exactly. So moving the levels up just a little bit faster to allow the opportunity to experience some of those higher levels is probably what I would have done. And then, you can adjust the creatures, the beasts challenge ratings accordingly, but yeah, I would have done that differently. I think I was too stingy with leveling up.
I would certainly play D&D proper again. I am a big fan of other systems, but there's a real popular YouTuber. He's got his own publishing company now, and he's coming out with a D&D clone, let's say, but it is half the levels, and I think the XP is worked differently, that you level up faster, and it's labeled as heroic fantasy. You are heroes, and it is
set to be that.
Yeah, his direct quote is, "This game is to have you do dope shit."
Nice.
And so it's let's get you there and get you just doing above unthinkable things, I guess.
Yep. That's cool. Have you played I tried the video game out. The even more complex version than 5e.
Pathfinder?
Pathfinder, yes.
Kind of like my style of music, because Pathfinder is popular, I have resisted checking it out.
How do you say that? Is it more, you consider it more popular than 5e?
I think in terms of sales, it's probably number 2
Okay.
in the space. And like, how do I explain it? It's similar enough to D&D that it doesn't excite me.
Okay.
Like, okay, I got this right here. So completely different game, Dragon Bane. And if you remember from Mothership, it uses D100 dice, percentile. And looking here, it has like, you've got your D&D strength. I guess you also have persuasion and stuff like that. But let's say your dexterity is 20. Okay, you have to roll under that to be successful. Okay. And I like that system. So if I know my stat is at 20, I know I have a 20% chance of being successful at the task. Pathfinder for me, again, is just like D&D, roll a 20. Here's my biggest problem with D&D. What level are we in our game right now?
I think we just leveled up to like 7, maybe.
Yeah,
8,
okay.
I don't know. 7, something like that.
So I hate that, like, let's say we come across a lowly kobold. Statistically improbable, but I could roll 1 to 12 on a dice and miss. And I'm like, no, I'm a level 7 paladin. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to hit this kobold. I don't like how swingy a D20 dice can be.
Okay.
I just totally went on a nerd tangent. You're like, Heath, I don't.
No.
Is Pathfinder something you're interested in checking out?
Probably not. No. I mean, yeah. No, I started playing the game, right? The video game version of it, and I don't know. It just seemed like 5e to me, except like a bunch more types of characters and more rules. And to me, like, I'm not looking for more complex. So, like, okay, take Mothership or some of the other ones you've explained to me that, like, they're almost more a level down in complexity versus 5e. So that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm comfortable with the complexity of 5e. I don't need to go higher than that. I'm okay trying things that would be less than that.
Yeah, think to yourself, like, okay, you've got your D&D background, and there's mechanics tied to background, but how often did those really come into play?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I know you've talked about it before. Tell me more about this Pathfinder game.
I didn't get too many hours. I probably got 10 hours into it or something like that. So let me, though, pivot on you and tell you about a gaming RPG that I liked way better than Pathfinder. So Pathfinder, like, the storyline didn't get me. I found it a little complex, which would have been fine if I would have just kept playing it. But I got frustrated with, like, okay, I'm keeping track of 4 characters, and then they kept switching it out. So then now, okay, I had a paladin, now I had a druid, and now I have whatever their names are for all these things. But I played one called Divinity Original Sin 2, I think it was. It's by the same makers of Baldur's Gate 3, Larian Studios, and it was like phenomenal. Like, you can make your own character, but there were 6 preset characters, and I think I just picked 4 out of them. And, like, good storyline, good battle system. You could do whatever you wanted completely. Like a citizen, I'm gonna just go attack them. Boom, done. They're dead. That sort of, like, it was, but then it was all turn-based combat, and it had all the, like, I had whatever, a stealth roguish type character, a wizard, a ranger, of course, because it's my style, and then some tank. But that was a phenomenal game. I'd much rather talk that one up than Pathfinder that I gave up on.
On Steam?
I played it on Switch, but it's on Steam as well. But Divinity Original Sin 2, there's a 1 as well. But yeah, very, very good. I probably put 80 hours or so into that.
Dang. Never even heard of it.
Yeah. But I don't think they have a tabletop version of that, but they should. Like good systems. Very good systems.
Well, maybe I'll check that out since I do have a Switch.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, we're over.
Oh, I have a question for you though.
Yes.
What's your perspective on like amount of dice rolling, like for decisions and actions and perception and investigations and reactions? Like,
I've gone back and forth, and I think where I'm going to settle long term is less is more. If you're a rogue, there's a time and a place to roll your sneak. There's a time and a place to say, yeah, you're the rogue. Like, you just do it.
Mm-hmm.
You should be good at this. So I think, and I've read it 100 different ways in different books. Okay, so let's think of it this way. If you remember, it was one of our earliest sessions. I think you had yet to team up with Anthony's CT, the rogue. And I think you were in like the hotel bedroom or something. And CT was sneaking to climb, to like peek in your window or something. Mm-hmm. And I made him roll and he fell.
Yeah.
And then I think he took a little bit of fall damage and then just did it again and rolled higher and snuck up and did it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I would have eliminated that roll. Like, yeah, you're the rogue. There's nothing stopping you. It's not raining. You're not under stress. Yeah, you want to sneak up, you just go up.
That's fair. I think there's a balance though too of like if you're an hour into a session and nobody's ever rolled, it's also like, are we even? And maybe this is, player personality and stuff. It's also like, are we even playing a game anymore? Like, can I just do whatever I want? Sort of a deal. So, I get like contextual, and like it doesn't have to be fully by the book. Use context of the situation and the character and all that to be like, yeah, you don't need to roll there. But also, like, leave a little bit up to the die to make some decisions too. It's my perspective. So yes, less is more, but as long as it's not none.
Yeah, I'm sure we've gone a session without rolling a dice before, and probably the end feedback on that is it probably wasn't as fun as a session where you were rolling dice. But if you're talking with the armorer,
downtime.
Yeah, downtime.
Downtime. Yeah.
I guess you would argue, yeah, it's downtime.
Yeah. Downtime is my least favorite sessions on both sides. Like, all right, let's move on.
Yeah, I don't know the answer of how to make that fun. You can just like hand wave, like, okay, you want to buy armor? Yeah, sure. How much money? It's this much money. Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Different way to do it. You know what? As long as I'm with my friends,
yeah,
it doesn't matter to me.
No. It's trying to like read the players too, like if they're, or as the player, trying to make sure that you're being read. Like, are you having fun in the downtime or not? Are they having fun in the downtime or not?
Yeah.
Do they need a dice roll just to just to spice things up a little bit, put something to chance.
How do I put this delicately? And let's see if you know. If you're trying to persuade somebody and you flat out say, or intimidate, I'm trying to intimidate somebody, and then you're not offered an intimidation roll, I'm not happy about that.
Yeah. You know. But as the, DM can decide whether you could potentially intimidate them or not.
Yeah. Unintimidatable.
Unintimidatable.
All right, we're over an hour. I appreciate your time. Last thing I have in my notes is an idea for a one shot. You can go with that, or if somebody were to come to you and say, "Hey, I want to be a first time DM," what's your number one piece of advice?
I don't have an idea for a one shot. So I guess question number 2.
Yeah.
I guess my biggest piece of advice would be that technically, you're the DM and you have control over where the story goes and things like that, but ultimately, like, if you really think that, then you're doing it wrong, because the players actually have control, and it's just your job is just to react. Not saying that I always did that, but I think that's probably what makes it best as the DM for the players. Is that fair?
Beautiful. And maybe I've got a little more book knowledge, but I mean, you and I were equals at actual table experience, so that's good advice.
Good deal.
All right, Joel the Mighty. Appreciate your time. Nice chat.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.
You be back for another one?
I'll be back.